Hello everyone, today we're going to study Chapter 6 of the novel David Copperfield for Prep 2. So here are the four main points that we're going to talk about or learn about while reading this chapter. So the first point is Uriah Heep's evil plans. So we're going to learn about this. The second point, Mr. Spenlow and his family. So, we're going to discover more facts about Mr. Spenlow. The third point, Tommy Traddles again. So, David Copperfield is going to meet Tommy Traddles for the second time, his old school friend from Salem House. The fourth point, the Peggotty family and their misfortunes. So we're going to know about some of the bad incidents that happened to the Peggotty family. So now let's start. I am in love. David meets Uriah and invites him to drink coffee and talk, as Agnes once told David about Uriah's intention to become Mr. Wakefield's partner and take over her father's business. During David's and Uriah's conversation, Uriah tells David that without his assistance to Mr. Wakefield would have lost his business. David finds out that Uriah wants to marry Agnes, thinking that being a partner to her father would make her accept him as a husband. David decides not to tell Agnes about Uriah's plans, so as not to make her worried. David is working in Mr. Spenlow's firm, and he discovers more about Mr. Spenlow's life, as his wife died, and he lives with his daughter and his daughter's companion in a large country house. David is introduced to Dora, and he falls in love with her immediately. David is surprised because Dora's companion turns out to be Miss Murdstone, and as a result, David is worried that Miss Murdstone would blacken his name with the Spenlows. But his worries fade away when Miss Murdstone tells him that they shouldn't speak about their past to anyone. David meets Tommy Traddles in London, and he tells David that he has rented a small room in a rented house in a poor part of London, and that he is studying to become a lawyer, and that he has to do several jobs to pay for his studies. In addition, he is engaged to a lovely girl in Devon. David is surprised to find that Tommy lives with the Micawbers, and David was happy to see Mr. Micawber, whose appearance has changed. Mr. Micawber tells David about his miserable life, as nothing has turned up yet. For David, the Micawbers haven't changed at all, but their quick changing of mood surprised Tommy Traddles. David advised Tommy not to lend Mr. Micawber any money, as he has got a lot of debts, but Traddles has already lent him. David meets Steerforth again, and he remembers Agnes's warning against Steerforth, but he throws her advice away. Steerforth tells David that Parks's illness has become worse, and David decides to go to Yarmouth. Steerforth asks David to think of him, of his best, no matter what happens between them later. David goes to Yarmouth and finds out that there was a problem between him and Emily. Parks dies and is buried in Blunderstone churchyard. Parks has left some money for Peggotty that she won't have to work anymore. David learns from Ham that Emily has run away with Steerforth, and she has left them a letter saying that she won't come back again until Steerforth marries her and makes her a lady. Daniel decides to look for Emily. So now let's read these questions. Number 1. What was Uriah Heep's plans? So, to become Mr. Wakefield's partner and to marry Agnes. Number 2. According to Uriah, why did he want to become Mr. Wakefield's partner? So, Uriah told David that if he hadn't assisted Mr. Wakefield, Mr. Wakefield would have lost his business. Number 3. Why was David surprised when he saw Miss Dora's companion, as she turned out to be Miss Murdstone? Number 4. What did David and Miss Murdstone agree upon? They agreed that there was no need to speak about their past to anyone. Number 5. What did Tommy Traddles tell David that he was doing in London? Tommy told David that he was studying to become a lawyer. Number 6. To David's surprise, who did Tommy Traddles live with? So, he lived with the Micawbers. Number 7. What news did Steerforth bring from Yarmouth? Steerforth told David that Parks's illness got much worse. Number 8. What did Ham tell David about Emily? He told David that Emily ran away with Steerforth and that she left him a letter saying that she wouldn't come back again until Steerforth married her and made her a lady. Comment. I'm too humble to expect such kindness. These words were said by Uriah Heep to David when David invited him to his house to have coffee together. Please forgive me for running away and leaving you. These words were said by Emily in her letter to Ham when she ran away with Steerforth. I wish I had drowned him when I had the chance. These words were said by Mr. Peggotty to Ham. He was talking about Steerforth when he knew that Emily had run away with him. But I have already lent him. Tommy said these words to David when David advised him not to lend money to Mr. Micawber as he got a lot of debt. So that's it for today. I hope you understand this lesson. Goodbye.